Hi, everybody. I'm here with my daughter Jillian and my son Elijah, and we just wanted to talk to you about worship today in this quick video. I served on a worship team for a few years, and then later on started attending Liberty University online and pursuing a bachelor's in theological and biblical studies. But I also took some worship classes because around that same time I got my first worship leading position at a church in Norwalk. So I dove into everything that I could on worship, and because I wanted to be an effective leader. One of the things that I learned the most. Okay, Elijah, hold on. During that time, I learned that, man, there's so much information about worship that I was learning, and what was alarming to me is not only was I learning things that a worship leader should know, I was learning things that honestly somebody in the congregation should know. Just some basic foundational things of worship. And this is a real concern to me because we have, as worship leaders, maybe 20-25 minutes to really teach on worship. And honestly, that's not near enough. And my first thought was, man, if I'm taking all these classes, and I've served on a worship team for years, and I really, wasn't even scratching the surface of this information about what God wants from worship and what He expects. How does somebody in a congregation, how do they know what God expects? So here's some resources that I found super, super helpful. Now this is just lightly scratching the surface of everything about worship, but I want to give you three main books that have super helped me. The first one, this is the main one, by Rory Noland, Worship on Earth as It Is in Heaven. A super, super good read. Mainly the reason that I am so high on this book is the first half of this book deals with personal worship, and the second half deals with corporate worship. And so this is a super, super, super huge tool because I love this book, and I would recommend it to anyone. The next book, A.W. Tozer, The Purpose of Man. Such a great read. Elijah, you can hold this book, buddy. So, and A.W. Tozer has a lot of good books out there, and he really, really gets really in depth as far as worshiping and what why we worship, and to be honest with you, he really brings back that sense of awe and reverence to God. The Purpose of Man by A.W. Tozer is a good one, and this next one Elijah is going to give me is one of my school books as well. Great Commission to Worship, and this is by David Wheeler and Vernon M. Whaley. This deals with how worship and evangelism coexist and go hand in hand. And this is not just overseas. This is talking about your neighbors, and it really, really kind of speaks to using worship, not just music, but worship as in your everyday life as a tool for evangelism. So just wanted to throw those tools out there, and I will hopefully get a blog out soon, maybe touching more on this. But if you really want to know what God wants from you from worship, I invite you to really find some good resources like these and really dig in. I mean, they're not complicated, but it does kind of shed some light on why churches do worship in the way that they do. And what God expects from worship, not just on a music standpoint, not just on a church standpoint, but in our everyday lives and in our walk with Christ. So like I said, a few resources to kind of help you guys hit the ground running. So, all right, we love you guys. Hope you found this useful. If you have, share it. And that's it, right?
Yeah.
We'll see you guys later. Peace out.